All right, folks, welcome back. It's our weekend commentary for the IC Mentorship. All right, so this is going to be a short, sweet. That way you can get back to downloading your videos and getting caught up, coming down to the wire. So, daily chart for dollar index. You can see we did slip lower here on Thursday. Didn't quite get below the low here. I still think that that's likely to be a draw on liquidity. Okay, so what do I mean by that? I think that we may trade lower going into next week, attack the sell side here, and work inside of this imbalance. If we get exaggerated on the downside, this order blocker here may be something that may be revisited in a site like that, I guess. So it could do something like that, and then we'll see if it wants to resume later on. But I'm going into next week with a softer outlook on dollar, only on the near term. I've not picked the top. I'm not trying to call the top. I'm just saying that we may need to pull back a little bit. All right, the hourly chart. I mentioned this imbalance over here. We overshot it. Then we spent some time inside of it and looked at the bodies respecting the premium end of that right there. So basically it's a small little upside move here. So it was risk off on a very small scale, but it was magnified in the index futures. 15-minute time frame, you can see we went up into this imbalance here. Got into it on a shallow basis on this run, and then worked later up into that area here. Then once trading to that level, working back down into consequent encroachment of the imbalance. Relative equal lows are here. Sell side is also there as well. Euro dollar daily chart. And these levels shouldn't be appearing up on the daily chart. I apologize, but I'm not going to edit. You'll know what these levels are on the midweek review I just did on Wednesday. I told you to plot them and watch how we react off of them. And you can clearly see how we reacted off of them. Premium array up here in the form of a SIBI and buy side liquidity resting here. We already worked inside the order block there. So I want to see if we can run up into 106.55 to 106.85, 90, something to that effect. There's the imbalance in here. I mentioned put those on your chart. We may come down into that, find some support. We've done that. On the 15-minute time frame, you'll see there's a fair value gap that trades down to here with an order block and that level. Sent it higher for relative equal highs. Really nice run. That was explained to you beforehand. And here is the imbalance. Fair value gap, order block, the last two down closed candles. Hits the level and that market acceleration to the upside. Pulls back into an order block. Rallies. Fair value gap, institutional order flow entry drill, rallies, order block, rallies, and clears the relative equal highs here for a short-term high. Trades back down in relative equal lows. Small little run up into the fair value gap here, then sells off, clearing the sell side here. And there's a small little imbalance in there. It doesn't look like it quite got into that level. It could have easily got down into it, but it didn't. Friday, it is what it is. And I am tired. I've been doing a lot of work this week, so apologize if I sound like I'm run down, because I am. SIBI here. Sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency on British pound versus US dollar on the daily chart. Ran up into it there, worked lower. And I mentioned we could possibly see it run up into this area here. And it looks like that we are, in fact, framed for that type of run. So as long as we're above this red candle or down closed candle, we're bullish, and we're looking for a run into buy side here and maybe rebalance this SIBI. On the hourly chart, you can see we had the imbalance here, traded lower, sprung higher from that run, relative equal highs, retraced all the imbalance with an order block, reaccumulated, sent a higher order block, rallies, clears the relative equal highs, and then consolidated all during Friday, but didn't break down. So I see that as just accumulating inside the fair value gap and order block, which is done pretty much all day. So we'll see if it wants to run up into those premium arrays I mentioned on the daily chart. We're bullish unless we take out this candle's low. Why this low? It's a swing low inside the fair value gap. All right, 15-minute time frame, British pound versus US dollar, just a real small, tiny little range. Now contrast this price action and that of euro with E-mini S&P. Looks like an indecisive day. It's not. We rallied up into the gap, then broke down, taking out relative equal lows. Finally got through that May 12th low. Small little fair value gap in here. Extended out in time. This is what was not shown on YouTube. So I like this level here, 39.15. Why? Because it is the hourly swing low. And I like this swing low here. Why? Because it's an hourly swing low. And the old low back here. That's what those levels are. I mentioned these levels on the discussion. I don't know where. Somewhere in those Twitter exchanges. But it looks like we're going to try to make an attempt to get up in here and rebalance that. If it goes above it, comes back down in, it can act as support there and send that up higher. Maybe even get up into here if we have made a long-term low. I'm not suggesting we have. I'm just posing it as a study point going into next week's trading. All right, 15-minute time frame. You can see we had, on this 15-minute time frame, we had this swing low. So I want to see that break. Now, in the discussion on YouTube that I'm going to be doing in a little while, that is pretty much what I'm going to outline here. So I'm not going to spend too much time on all that. So just know that I'm going to give you details here that isn't going to be explained over there. We broke the swing low and then rolled with an accelerated move lower, created an imbalance, broke through short-term low. The sell side has been taken here, accumulated more shorts, sent it lower below the May 12th low at 38.55, then accelerated into 38 big figure, ran higher, retraced back down and in. So we have a swing high, then it runs above that swing high right there. So I'm going to show you what I was working with my son with today, and he was obviously trading with his live account with AMP Futures. And when I say that, folks, I'm not repping them. I'm not even telling you to go sign up with them. Don't think that I'm doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not an introducing broker. I'm just telling you he elected to go with that because he heard trolls talking about how they used it. So he wanted to be able to, I guess, represent, you know how it is with kids. They want to defend daddy. But anyway, the point is we had this imbalance here. Fair value gap creates a swing high. It trades back down in there. Then it starts to accelerate into the premium array here that is above equilibrium. So the high down to the low, 50%. We're above that. Here's a premium array. It's going to run right back up into that. Here's that same hourly imbalance. Here is the fair value gap, trading into it there, and rallies up. And here's that last hour, 3 o'clock to 4. So we see it trade down into the fair value gap. Now, couple this with TGIF scenarios. Okay, so again, this is the part that's not in YouTube. I taught you all that on Fridays, if we had a down week, there's a likelihood that we could trade 20 to 30% back up into the weekly range on Friday. It really becomes possible to narrow down if we look at the last hour of trading. Because at 3 o'clock the algorithms will start spooling. That's what's occurring here. This is not short covering. It's meant to cause short covering. It's not a result of short covering. Okay. The algorithm offering constant prices higher, that causes by default traders to be squeezed out of their positions. It's not huge volume of buying. Okay. It's we're going to put the screws to you. Okay. And we're going to keep driving it up into a level where we want it. Okay. And that's because smart money bought down here and here and here, and they want to deliver price up into this imbalance and kill two birds with one stone, maybe three birds. They want to get up here to offset their longs from down here. They want to sell it up here. They're offering, obviously, the rebalance of the sell side. Now buy side's offered. So this area has been rebalanced. And it also, for lack of a better word, screws those that are short out of their positions that maybe want to carry it over the weekend. Why anybody would want to do that anymore these days? You don't know where we're going to open up on Sunday. And these violent returns back in the last hour of trading, they're just brutal. So you have to learn how to take profits, obviously. But my son was able to, as you'll see later on in tonight's video, he was capitalizing on this area here. We were talking about it, and I told him, I said, we'll see this likely range return where we want to see it trade back to the 38.55 level. We want to see it run right through that. It did. And the 38.72 level, it went right through that like a knife through hot butter up into this area here. And he was buying in here. So he was able to push his account up $3,700 today. So $13,450 plus dollars. So from the 3,000 range up to 13,000 in a couple weeks, that's pretty good. That type of return would put him at the #1 spot in Robbins in less than a month, in less than 3 weeks. So that's what I've been telling him all day. I said, do you realize what you did? Like, you really would have already been the leaderboard on Robbins. But don't let it go to your head. And just keep doing what you're doing. Practice. Don't try to get too big-headed. And I think I made a mistake today by asking everybody on Twitter to encourage him, because in here, you all know what I'm about to say here is not meant for public, okay? But he is someone that has very low self-esteem. He had difficulty in school. He had difficulty, with friends. He's only had really one friend his entire life. Introverted. And I can say this because he's my son, but he's socially awkward. Okay, he's not mentally challenged in any way, so that's not the issue. But he's just socially awkward. So he's a lot like I was when I was younger, but more extreme in terms of he's just not really interested in other people, and doesn't want to get close to anybody else. And he's just like, that. There's nothing else really to say. But I think I messed up by asking everybody to encourage him on Twitter today, because he didn't really take to it like I wanted him to. So I won't be doing that anymore. But I wanted to just kind of like share this. I asked his permission if I could do it, and in the YouTube video. But that's it. I'm not going to do it anymore. If he chooses to show any more, it's going to be on him, and he'll do the talking. He'll do the the jawboning about it. But I've been beating my drum, for years about how I want one of my kids to start trading, and to see someone in my brood, my flesh and blood, with a live account, getting in here and seeing the fruits of it all is just amazing. Like, I feel so thankful. I feel good. Like, I feel really, really good. I feel like, the dad that sees his son go to his alma mater, I never really understood that train of thought for men with their son doing like sports and things like that, because I've never been a real sports person, but this is my life. And to finally get one of my kids to want to do it, and seeing their account do so well in such a short period of time, doing the things I'm teaching, it's just really rewarding, and he's having a blast, obviously. I think it's one of those things where he wishes he would have done it sooner type thing. And that's the kind of momentum I want to maintain with him mentally and psychologically. I don't want him to get bored, but I don't want him to stay revved up where he feels like he's got to do 100-mile-an-hour returns. So we did a lot of discussion this week. And between that, video production, and YouTube production, it's like I'm beat. I'm really, really beat. So I'm looking forward to this weekend and try to relax. So if I stay quiet, just know that it's because I need some rest. Like I have a ton of things to do next week still to complete everything with y'all. And hopefully we'll be able to make sure everybody's on the same page and got everything what they're supposed to have. So we can go into a little bit more teachings without having all this workload on my shoulders. And I think that's going to be it, folks. I'll touch base with you, obviously, next Monday, Lord willing. Until then, enjoy your weekend and be safe.